dating black men.
That blue collar brother is not it.
The question is, can a man with no money make a woman happy? You should be impotent. If you ain't got no money as a man, you shouldn't even be able, that thing shouldn't even try to rise up. What the hell can a broke man do for a woman? A man with no money can't do nothing for nobody, including.
It's really sad that women cannot even embrace their femininity.
There's plenty of y'all out here. Finding y'all are not the problem. Is not the.
Of course, I had to pull it. I'm fat, right? And he goes, I know. And he goes, it doesn't matter. I see pretty and I like it. That's how it should be.
Police be here.
Said they had some daily. Send up whatever the hell.
Your source for news, politics, sports, and all things trending. Here's your host, Marcus Gentry.
Gents, I've stated multiple times that I do not hate black women. It is very disheartening and it is very frustrating when you hear them say things like this.
2025, we ain't dating black men. 2025, we ain't dating black men. 2025, we ain't dating black men.
That blue collar brother is not it. He's not gonna fit. But for some of us black women, your blue collar is not enough.
So the question is, can a man with no money make a woman happy? You should be impotent. If you ain't got no money as a man, you shouldn't even be able, that thing shouldn't even try to rise up. What the hell can a broke man do for a woman? A man with no money can't do nothing for nobody, including himself.
Thinking about the psychology of things, I really feel like black men are addicted to struggle and poverty. You gotta get the bottom of the barrel when it comes to interacting with them. Do you hate men? You really hate men? Yes! It's really sad that women cannot even embrace their femininity because how perverted and predatory men are.
People always be like, Tia, what's your type? Providers, protectors, and problem solvers. That's it. If I call your phone and be like, babe, my tire just went flat, and you not talking about how much your tire is or where you at so I can come get your car towed to take it to the shop to get your tire replaced, I don't want that. I need a problem solver. If I call you and be like, babe, my car note so-and-so is due, I need my phone bill paid, you not talking about what's your, come get the money, I'm finna send it to you, you not my type, I need a provider.
Don't waste your time asking me about a motherfucking passport, bro. You're gonna take their ashy, bald-headed asses overseas, and a foreign woman is gonna run their pockets dry and send their ugly asses back to their 5-by-5-foot shoebox ass motherfucking apartment.
There's plenty of y'all out here. Finding y'all are not the problem. Is not the problem. The problem is that y'all are not worth keeping.
I started talking to this guy that I matched with on Tinder. And of course I had to pull it, I'm fat, right? And he goes, I know. And he goes, it doesn't matter. I see pretty and I like it. That's how it should be.
And I'm sorry, me personally, I'm not doing all that cooking for no nigga. Honestly, I just feel like you just need to lower your standards and then you'll be happy. Like, don't be dating certain women and then be like, oh my god, it's so expensive, I done spent $400 on her. Don't approach women you can't afford to date.
Let him go to Kaya house. Let him go to Kaya house.
I don't play with a motherfucking man. A man is not gonna call me. You gonna call me bitch. 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 You gonna call me bitch now. Now, cause one thing about it, I don't play with no mother. Don't touch me.
Tell police be there.
I had to, first of all, welcome to the Daily Read, and I am your host, Marcus Gentry. I'm going to talk about Charlie Kirk today and how this ties into the attack on women. You see, let me cam up for a second. You see, Charlie Kirk was the Republican Party's darling. They got two or three others, but those two or three others wasn't as articulate as Charlie Kirk was. They were grooming him to become the next senator or the next president, something like Ronald Reagan. You see, it's well documented that Ronald Reagan didn't like black people too much, but he was articulate to where he had black people voting for him. Charlie Kirk was the same way. Nick Fuentes and a couple of other white darlings of the Republican Party, they're not as fluent in dealing with the public with their bigotry. Now, I know I'm going to get pushback from people, especially in the black community, that agree with Charlie Kirk, agree with Nick Fuentes and Stevenson and some of the other Republicans. But you got to understand something. These men go to school for this, while we blacks send our kids to school for sports. Let me take you back to the Gladiators, because I played a few clips of women disrespecting blue collar men, which is another reason why there's an attack on women. You see, Rome had the gladiators, and then Rome had regular citizens. While we send our kids to football forums and basketball forums, and you have Deion Sanders coming in and teaching your kid how to catch a football properly, and taking pictures with him and selling his merchandise. That's what we send our kids to. The vast majority of other people in this country, they send their kids to political school to study political science. That's not to say that their white sons don't play football. That's not to say their white daughters are not cheerleaders. But they emphasize political science because these are the future lawmakers of this country. We don't prioritize that. You see, in our communities, as a black person speaking, in our communities, you have the matriarchy. But don't get it twisted. We still have a patriarchy in the black community. I'm finna explain that to you and how all of this ties in to the raids, how all of this ties in to Trump sending soldiers into some of our major cities to stop crime and stop the YNs. And when I say YNs, I don't mean just young black men. YNs can be a young white man that grew up in a single parent home. As you can see on this screen right here, this is what's been going on in our communities for the last 40 years. Single mother wants to be the it girl, be like Beyonce and them, Real Housewives and them, but she's a low-level worker and she's not satisfied with the man she has. She might make $40,000 a year. The man might make $60,000. There's all kind of foolishness involved. You got feminism involved. They break up. Now the kid gets older and he's being trained and raised by an unruly woman. I've already told you what men are. Some of you are not listening. Some of you men are not listening. Men are builders and destroyers. So what do you get when you plus a woman with an attitude raising a builder or destroyer? You get a YN. And it don't necessarily have to be his color. This is what you get. The government knows this. That's why they're attacking you. They're not just attacking you because you're a woman. Most women and kids are protected in the communities. What is a main saying of women today? I'm finna get back outside. The government is telling you, no, we're trying to put you back inside to stop all of this right here from going on. But it goes deeper than that when it comes to the black community. I'm finna explain that right here on this next clip. And I want all my minorities out there, including some of you whites, because some of you white men and women have kids by black people. You really need to pay attention to this, because this is not explained to you by nobody. People are just living this and struggling with this. I don't struggle with this no more because I know what it is. I've seen it. I've lived it. If you see that picture in the background, these look like dapper, prestigious men, black men, right? I put that picture up there for a reason. You see, in our black communities, most of us have lived under the matriarch. But there is a patriarch, a hierarchy in the black community. Most of these men's children go to college. Most of these black men's children do well, go into politics, become CEOs. And most of the women that they choose to marry are submissive. I think it's fake submissiveness, but they're submissive. So let's start off at the top when it comes to the black community. And like I said, you white people can pay attention to, because some of you have mixed grandkids or mixed kids. You need to see this and understand what's going on in our communities. At the top, you got the black patriarch. And I'm going to explain how this all ties in to Charlie Kirk in a second. At the top, you have the black community patriarchy. These are your NBA players, $1 million workers, NFL players, $1 million men, influencers, singers, actors, CEOs, and gang leaders. Yes, you got pookies who are gang leaders that got money. They're in the patriarchy. You got drug dealers, scammers that make millions. Okay? You do have a black patriarchy. And most of the time, these men have wives, and their wives are submissive, mainly because they can be replaced. You can be replaced when you up here. 80% of the women chase these men. I'm going to say that again. 80% of the women in America chase these men. So you do have a patriarchy in the black community. But this is what happened. I'm finna explain to you what happened. A lot of these women who have divorced these rich men, or who have came up in life, started complaining that they don't have no authority. Pay attention, because this is where it's about to get interesting. So what these men do in the patriarchy, they gave these women authority over the poor black population. You see how crazy that is? So now you got the matriarchy that runs 80% of the men. And you can't say shit. Because as soon as you call one of these rabbit ass whores out, here comes the patriarchy, here comes the white people, here comes the police. Black men are saying, we blue collar, we're not white collar, and we don't want your leftovers. And we especially don't want your leftovers trying to run us. That's why I played that video at the beginning of this show. Because I want you to get a real outlook on 4, 5s, and 6s. None of them women were 8, 9s, and 10s. Absolutely none of them. they talking about blue collar men ain't it. Half of them women look like they make 30 to 40,000 a year. Outrageous. So, again, the black community has a patriarchy. You see them all the time. These are your community leaders. These are your pastors. You know, the influencers. You know, they run the patriarchy of the black community. And then they just gave they throwaways to us. So let me tell you about the matriarchy. If you make under $100,000 a year in the black community, you're under the matriarchy, period. Don't get it twisted. Black men under the matriarchy is fighting back. So let me tell you who are all the people under the matriarchy in the black community. Any man that makes under $100,000 a year. That's 80 to 85% of the men in this country. Period. Obese women, 4, 5s, and 6s. Women who don't really want a man because they can't have one of the top earners up here. So they bitter. They got 4, 5 kids. They cum dumps. They're side pieces. Some of these women are trash. And I know it sounds like I'm attacking women, but I'm not. I'm letting you know what the patriarchy up here has given to us. This is their leftovers. Nutcases, whores. There was a video that I just showed of a woman putting a gun in a white man's face talking about, I ain't bowing down to no man. The man wrestled the gun out of her hand, punched her in the face and slammed her and knocked her out. Then called the police. Crazy. That's one of my worstest fears, is to have to put a woman down that pulls a gun on me. Because make no mistake about it, I'm not finna attack no woman at all. But if you flash that pistol on me or pull a knife on me, I'm gonna try to put you down. Period. It's either you go home to your kids and grandkids, or I go home to my kids and grandkids. Period. And I know what I'm choosing. I'm choosing me. You got these low-income women expecting high-income earners. You got the welfare queens. You got the Section 8 queens. You got the low-key drug dealer queens. You know, this is what we get. 80% of the black men in this country. You know, this is what we get. 80% of the women start off chasing these men and submitting to these men. But after 20 or 30 years, they pick who they want to marry and throw the rest of them away. And then they come back to us like they queens of the universe. And we think, like you think we trash, we think you trash. And you know who the YNs are, so you gotta separate. You gotta separate the YNs, people. I'm gonna explain that. A lot of these people who run the black community, the matriarch, they try to say all of these men are YNs and dusties. That's not true. You gotta separate the YNs from the other percentage of men who are blue collar workers. They're not trying to separate them. You got to understand this. They're not trying to separate them. Because separating them means you can't keep saying that these men are broke. If you separate the YNs, the guy laying on somebody's couch, not working, getting high every day, if you separate them from the rest of the men down here below 100,000 a year, you got to admit that you just don't want a man making under $100,000 a year. They don't want to admit that. So they try to tie all of these men into YNs. And guess who's helping them? The black patriarchy. The men up here. Look at this. 80% of the men, mostly blue collar, 9-to-5 workers, have 2 degrees of separation between them and the patriarchy, the black patriarchy. They put all of these women in between blue collar workers and the black patriarchy. And they expect us to accept that. We're not accepting that. We're not YNs, but we're not high earners neither. Now let me tell you where the red pill comes in at. Because this is how Charlie Kirk, his assassination, and the things that Donald Trump and his administration is doing comes into play. I told you on one of my shows about a week ago that women are under attack. But they're hitting you not just in the financial department. You got to understand that. You see, the red pill community are men who mostly make up the 80% down here that have gotten tired of seeing wealthy men get submission and the vast majority of women to pick from. And then once they pick from them, they play with the rest of them. And then toss them back to us like, okay, you can have our sloppy seconds. We don't want that shit. We don't want your fat ex-whores. We don't want that. So the men down here have created their own patriarchy. And you know what they try to say? It's toxic masculinity. We're doing the same thing that the guys up here doing, but they label us as toxic masculinity. What do a black patriarchy do? If a woman start acting unsubmissive, he get rid of her, pick another one, because he has options. So what does the red pill guys do? They say, okay, y'all want to give us y'all trash? We're gonna go somewhere else and live just like the 20% up here live, but we're gonna do it in another country. The same type of beautiful wife that these guys get, these red pill passport bros, men going their own way, MG Towel, they're doing the same thing, but they're paying cheaper prices, and they don't like that. You see it all the time on these YouTube channels where you got these black males, mostly guys that got funds, trying to call other men weak for doing this. We want the same shit you want. And if we can't get it here, fuck them. We gone. And we taking our resources with us. That's the problem. The resources are leaving. You're a resource. If you fall below the $100,000 mark, you're a resource. Now let me get to the Charlie Kirk situation now that I've explained all that and how it ties in to all of this. Let's get to that real quick. Before I do, I want to say, for the people that's watching or listening on iHeartRadio, you might not be able to see the graphic nature of this, okay? I can't say I had no love for Charlie Kirk, but I can say he didn't deserve to die like that, okay? It was crazy ironic how a person asked him, what do you think about the high crime and gun rate in the inner cities? and he chuckled and laughed and said, "What do you mean, the black gangs?" Because he was making a joke of the situation, and got shot by a white man. Listen to how crazy ironic that is. Now let's get to the video. Now that I've given you my disclaimer, let's get to the video.
Counting or not counting gang violence? Great.
All right, so I'm gonna.
Did you hear that? Did you hear that, people? You know, he took a shot at American blacks. That's how Charlie Kirk was. That's why he was the darling of the Republican Party. And I know you guys are waiting for me to tie in how all of this has to do with the things that's going on in the black community. You see, Charlie Kirk was the Ronald Reagan of today. They was grooming Charlie Kirk. That's why he was showing up at college campuses. He was going to be the next senator. And then he was going to go on to be the next president within the next 5 to 10 years. The Republican Party is devastated because they groomed this guy for years. He has the same thought process and mentality as Nick Fuentes. But he knows how to verbalize, which is something I'm working on, and without using a lot of cursing words, I admit, but he knows how to verbalize and debate, which made a lot of people stop and think, the whole time you already can hear it in the sarcasm in his voice. The guy was straight up bigotry. Straight up. Some people gonna try to give me flack for it. I'm gonna keep my comments open. I'm welcome to all of it. Bring it on. Because I can show you videos of him, Nick Fuentes, the Stevenson guy, Candace Owens. Candace Owens is not even black. She's a poser. Candace Owens is an Afro-Latina. Newsflash, her family immigrated here. And now she runs around speaking like she's a conservative black person. She's a liar. She's a plant. Charlie Kirk was like Nixon. Charlie Kirk was like Ronald Reagan. They don't really fool with blacks like that, but you know what? As long as you stay over there, we're just not going to bother you. That's how he was. I'm going to say it again. We don't really fool with blacks like that, but as long as you stay over there, we're not going to bother you. That's how he was. I can't get fired. I don't give two shits. They say people are getting fired for talking up and speaking up. Charlie Kirk was the Republican darling. He died too soon. And now the Republicans are scrambling. They were grooming him for years to take over, to finish the job that Donald Trump started, which is the attack on women. Charlie Kirk has a lot of black men behind him, just like Donald Trump does. These black men don't care if they're racist or not. The reason why is because the damage to the black community is doing more harm with these single wild ass mothers than racism. Do I need to repeat that? Do I need to repeat that? Single motherhood plus teenager equals YN. Charlie Kirk was going to come in and finish what Donald Trump started. He was their darling. Now, they can't go back to the drawing board because it's going to take too long to raise another Charlie Kirk. They got to work with what they got, people. They have to work with what they got. And guess who they got? Nick Fuentes, Stevenson. It's several of them around the 45 to 35, around the 45 to 50, around that age bracket. They got about 4 or 5 of them, but they don't have the patience to utilize their words correctly when they're attacking minorities, like Charlie Kirk did. I'm praying somebody understand what I'm saying. So now they got to deal with these roughheads in the Republican Party. Because it's too late to go back. It's too late to go back and get a 13-year-old and send him off to school to be a political science major. Go to debate clubs. Because remember what I said. White people and the majority of the white-like people, they send their kids to debate club. We send our kids to football tribunals. They got a football camp going on in Florida, and Deion Sanders is supposed to make an appearance. It's $250. No, these people send their kids to political science school because they want them to make the laws. We send our kids to gladiator school. And remember what I said. We have a patriarchy in the black community. But the patriarchy are the ones who kids go on to be other football players. Sometimes, a young guy like Allen Iverson come from the hood, jumps up there and makes his way into the league. But the vast majority of blacks in this country, they want you in gladiator school. They want you to entertain them. How come you people don't understand this? You are entertainment. Every now and then they have a black just to, give them some kind of representative in the White House or Congress. Joaquin Jeffries and stuff like that. But the vast majority of us, we here for entertainment. And nobody's changing that. That's why they got the gatekeepers. They got the patriarch black men who are gatekeepers. Like Diddy, like Bill Cosby. Because the whites don't want you to bring that out. They don't want you to start raising your sons to put them in political debate school. Because they know once massive black men start having wives and kids and start saying, no, you ain't going into football. You can play it, but all that NFL dreams, fuck that. You're going to a political debate school. I need you to be the next governor. This is diabolical what's going on in this country. Nick Fuentes is the next in line. And make no mistake about it, I'm not saying the next in line to be assassinated. I'm saying Nick Fuentes and guys like him are going to be the next in line to be the new political party. And Nick Fuentes cannot hide his bigotry like this guy, the one that just got assassinated. You know, and I'm gonna give you just a sample of how good he articulates himself and how he can make other black people stop and say, maybe he doesn't have a problem with black people. You see it all the time. Listen to this.
Okay, real quick. You said if I see a black pilot, I'm gonna be like, boy, I hope he's qualified. Are you gonna do that?
Yeah, I mean that is correct. Yeah.
That's correct. Okay, so can we both agree?
What was the context of what I said, though?
Well, the context. I don't even want to get into DEI because your opinion on DEI, it doesn't really help in this case. So, the context between what you brought up was that you believe that
because they were being hired because they were black.
Okay, so can we both agree that every single pilot, whether black, white, whoever, has to go through FAA certification?
No, actually,
we can't.
New lawsuit shows that black pilots and female pilots have the standards being relaxed.
No, sir, can we agree at the time of February 29th or 2023 when you said it at the time? No?
No, actually, I said it, that's why you don't know the context, is that new lawsuits were showing that they were relaxing the standards for air traffic control and pilots in order to meet the standards.
The context of that was diversity, equity, and inclusion. What does that have to do with hiring?
Everything. DEI definitionally is that we will hire more of a race versus a different race. So, for example, United Airlines said that they want 50% of their new pilots to either be women or black. Okay. Currently, just so you understand, it's like 8%. So they want to go from 8% to 50%. Okay. And every time DEI is implemented, every single time, the lowering of standards occurs. Every single time.
Lowering of standards?
Correct. So can I prove it to you? We both want excellence, right? Okay. If you and I said, hey, we want 50% of the new people going into the NBA are white. Okay. Would the NBA drop in its standard?
You see how he did that? He automatically, related black people to the gladiators. NBA. I'm gonna let this keep playing. I'm gonna let this keep playing, but just recognize what he did there. If you're a black pilot, you might be subpar. But if you're a black NBA player, oh shit, y'all play basketball better than us. I'm not saying DEI was not doing what he said. And see, that's another thing he's good at. Yes, DEI was, forcing the government to hire black people. Yes, there was. But that does not mean those black people were not qualified. He seems to think that, gee, is a black pilot? Oh man, I wonder if he's qualified. He's behind that damn wheel. You see how easy he disqualified blacks from doing important jobs, but you're gladiators. You're gladiators. You get out here and entertain us with the Air Jordan jump from the half court slam dunk. Let me keep going.
No. The National Basketball League.
No. If we said 50%, if we say
50% of the NBA dropped, and it was only white.
No. I said
would the standard go down?
I'm not hearing what I'm saying. If 50% of all new people going in the NBA were white, by decree, would the quality of play of the NBA decrease?
Would the quality of play in the NBA decrease?
Yeah.
No, if they're the same standard of basketball.
Hold on, let's talk realistic.
Well, what are you saying realistically? You're asking me.
And yes, the answer is yes. The quality of the slam dunks, the dribbling, the juking people, all of that, it's going to decrease if you add more white people to the NBA. But see, that's the slickness of him. That's how slick he was. And again, I'm not saying he should have been killed like that. He shouldn't have been killed, period. But this is the attitude that the Republican Party wanted. Ronald Reagan was just like this. Ronald Reagan was called the Big Gipper for a reason. He might not have liked you, but he could talk in a way to make you say, look at these white people in the background. They love him. They love how he stood up to this black man and said, well, you know, the NBA would decrease in its value if a lot of more white people played, but, you know, I guess that goes for air pilots too. If more black people become air pilots, the standard is going to decrease. You see how easy he did that? This is what the Republican Party wanted to be the next senator, to be the next president. He died too early for them. Now they got to go back to the drawing board.
75% of the NBA is black. 75%.
So does that mean white players are less better, or does that mean
whites are not as good at basketball as blacks? I mean, we got some big.
Everybody, calm down.
We got some big exceptions. I mean,
so now what he's saying is, whites are not good as basketball as blacks, right? So he's making you think, maybe black pilots is not as good as white pilots. All of this is trickery. All of this is garbage, trickery. And he was good at that. You see, Nick Fuentes, the next Republican stand-up, he's not as good as him. Nick Fuentes, he wears his bigotry on his sleeve. Period. And this is who the Republican Party got to deal with now.
Very proud of Larry Bird, okay?
No.
I'm finna go to the next part of this, because I just explained to you how Nick Fuentes ties in to the attack on black people, or on women, not black people, women. Okay? The assassination of Charlie Kirk and Charlie Kirk period ties in to the attack on women, because this was going to be an ongoing thing for the next 10 years. Now they got to go back to the drawing board. They're still going to attack you, but they can't use him anymore. He's deceased. So now let's go to the other part of this. How the military is running into all the major cities, you know, attacking all the illegal immigrants, but they're also going after gang violence. Guess who the gangbangers are? Single mothers, son husbands. You see, what happens is, when they attack your finances as a woman by firing you, cutting out DEI, cutting off food stamps, cutting off alimony down to 2 years, cutting back on all of this welfare, they're attacking your finances. So what do some of these women turn to? They don't turn to the husbands right away, because they don't want that. They don't want a man over them unless he's rich. Some of these women turn to son husbands, and some of these son husbands are gang members. So now they finna lock these guys up for 10, 20, 50 years. So now you ain't got no choice. They finna take away the funds, and now they finna take away your son husbands. And make no mistake about it, rich black men and their kids are not affected by none of this. Let me cam up real quick so you can see the sincerity in what I'm saying. Wealthy black men usually are married and their kids go off to college. Or influential black people. They're not influenced by none of this. They're not affected by none of this. Remember what I said at the beginning of the show. I look at the forest. I don't look at the individual trees. I look at the whole pattern. They started with your resources, the money that's propping you up as boss chicks. So what do boss chicks do? They remain solo, promiscuous, whores, side chicks, and then they raise their kids by themselves. And can't no man tell them nothing. And then their kids go on to be problematic because they got builder and destroyer inside of them added with the mother's attitude, without a man to guide the young man who is a builder or destroyer. I'm hoping this makes sense to some of you. Wealthy black men don't have to worry about none of this. The whole time there's a small patriarchy building in the lower class men called the passport bros, MGTOW, men going their own way, red pill. This is a small portion of the men who make under $100,000 a year. They're fed up with all of this. They don't want some 4, 5, or 6 who's been ran through looking at them like they disgusted. Because we are turning around and saying, fuck you, bitch. Go on about your business. I'm going somewhere else. This is what's going on. And America is showing the matriarchy, you don't hold no power here. We can't keep losing blue collar workers to overseas. So we're going to force you to go back into the household with these blue collar men. And I'm telling you right now, you blue collar men that's listening to my voice, you need to protect yourself from these women. These women are going to be pissed, broke, busted, disgusted, used up by wealthier men, and they're going to treat you like garbage. You got to be prepared to get rid of them. Soon as they come in with the attitude, get rid of them. Go back to the streets, bitch. Go on about your business. You got to get ready for that. Don't hold on to them because, damn, I finally got a wife. All the wealthier men been getting wives for years because they got money. It ain't because these women are sincere. They bow down and be submissive to richer men, even though they make $30,000 a year, even though they make $40,000 a year. Their husbands are the $60,000 a year bus driver. Their husband is the $60,000 a year construction worker. They don't want that. But when they're forced to be with that, they're going to act out of control. Let's continue on. Because all of this, it's a big scene. It's a big portrait. It's a pattern. And the government is tired of average men complaining to them about these women. I don't want to walk into a restaurant, sit down and eat, see a nice looking girl who might be a 4 or 5 or 6, because they're not ugly. They're not above being beautiful, but they're not ugly. And I walk up to her and say, hey, how you doing? Where you work at? I'm a truck driver. I don't fuck with truck. I don't mess with 9 to 5 men. What? Where you work at? I'm a nurse. Oh, I make $70,000 a year. I make $85,000 to $90,000 a year. What the hell do you mean? This is what I'm saying when I'm telling you people, especially you black men. Matter of fact, I'm not even gonna say black men, you men in general, because whites are affected by this too. White men are affected by this too. Protect yourself. Go to the spy shop, get you some glasses with the camera on it. You ain't gotta record everything, but when you see stuff moving funny around you, start recording. They got pens, they got mini cameras in them. You can stick in your pocket. Start protecting yourself, because these women are going to come knocking at your door wanting to get back in, and they're going to drag all of their bastard kids with them. You can either deal with it or don't, but if you deal with it, protect yourself. Let's continue on.
To the young men of Chicago, respectfully, find something better to do.
He said to the young men of Chicago, men grew up with single mothers.
Find something productive to do. I mean, play with your friends, not the National Guard. That's just one war you won't win. I mean, sure, you have AKs and Glocks with switches on them, but are you...
You see, I can already look at this guy and tell that he's a part of the 20% of men, black men, who got means. He got funds. He's probably making over $100,000 a year. Most men who make under $100,000 a year, they don't rock chains. I mean, seriously. You can pretty much look at a person and tell if they got a little bit of means, a little bit of wealth. He might not be a millionaire, but you can tell he fits into that category of top earners. He's not affected by none of this, because if a woman not be submissive to him, he can cut her loose and get another one. The men that make under $100,000 a year, they stick around with these women. They can't afford to pay no high-ass alimony and child support.
The U.S. military has snipers that can strike before your brain can even register to rack the slide. I mean, yes, these gangs have very dangerous individuals, yet the military have even scarier ones with resources. But I will say that crime in Chicago has gotten to a point where the criminals believe that they really have a fighting chance.
And this is another thing I don't like about this. When I see black men who are part of the 20% try to act like the black men that's not a part of the 20% are not builders and destroyers. They are still men. Men who are raised by single mothers. He's not putting the blame where the blame needs to be. He's blaming the young man who was forced into that environment by a single, attitude-ridden, single mom. More than likely a woman that he done smashed and dashed. Left her with all kinds of mental scars. Now she comes back to the black community like she's a princess and she deserved this and she... No!
A fighting chance against a military apparatus that could flatten a town with just the press of a button without boots on the ground. The other boots on the ground. You know what I'm talking about. I heard a content creator praising the fact that Chicago has about 100,000 gangs and that Trump best not send the National Guard because these people ain't playing. I mean, all I can say to those people is that the hill you choose to die on? And how's your aim?
So this is how it all began. Trump getting warned that you cannot bring the National Guard to Chicago because the gangs are going to fight. The gangs are going to fight the National Guard.
Look at this guy. He's probably a son husband. Young YN. He might not be a YN. He might be a $60,000 earner. Right? But he's still a son husband. He falls below the $100,000 mark unless he's doing some illegal activities on the side. You know. So what these women do is, once the government start making them stand on this boss chick mentality, the boss chick mother is going to come to him for resources. And the government is finna take him away from you for 20 years. Make him irrelevant. Do y'all see the pattern? Do you understand? They're not just attacking you women on the resources. They're going after your sons, the YNs. And some middle class men are going to get caught up into that.
Don't bring them to Chicago says, this is how it all started.
Trump, do not send the National Guard to Chicago, gang. Do not, I repeat, do not do it. We are a different fucking breed out here, nigga. We are not Los Angeles, nigga. We are not Washington, D.C., nigga. This is Chicago, nigga. The niggas go fight back. I'm telling you, them niggas go fight back, gang. Whatever, I don't give a fuck what you're talking about. Them young niggas got switches, gang. They not going for that shit, bro. I know a bunch of y'all finna say, oh, it's the National Guard. They can't do anything about it. They must go in Chicago. Nigga, do y'all know that it's more bad people than good people, bro? There are over 100,000 gangs in Chicago by the city by itself, gang.
Continues here in the state of Georgia as a result of candidate Tory Branham's call to ICE, which led to 475 workers being detained at the Hyundai plant down in South Georgia. You heard that right. The woman who called ICE and had 475 workers detained down at the Hyundai plant is a candidate for Georgia District 12. She's seeking a Senate seat. She's seeking to represent the citizens of Georgia's District 12.
So there were 452 illegals apprehended at the Hyundai mega plant construction site yesterday near Savannah. And I was the one that reported the information that I had to ICE.
I'm going to stop that right there. Because like I said, all of this is connected. All of this is connected. All of it. It's all connected, people. You got to understand this. They're going after you women's resources. On top of going after your resources, they're going after your sons to keep you from having a fallback. Once they take your resources and your sons for 20 years in a federal or state prison, you ain't got no choice. What's up, big head? What you doing? I sure miss you. You ain't missed nothing. These women are going to come back. And when they come back, they're going to be unruly, out of pocket. You men need to protect yourself. Period. The whole immigration thing about that white woman, she's a darling of the Republican Party. Charlie Kirk was a darling of the Republican Party. He was the next Reagan. He articulated his words properly. He died too soon. I hope you guys learned something today. This is the Daily Read, and I'm out.
The business, motherfucker.
The Daily Read.